My humble pranams to the lotus feet of my beloved Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, respected elders, Sai sisters, and distinguished guest Sister Aparna. Sairam to all of you, and happy Ugadi. Welcome to the 19th annual Women's Mini Retreat. As Swami has already mentioned in the video, congregation of women is essential to the upliftment of all. Mahila or Women's Wing has been in existence in India. However, a couple of years back, nationally, here in United States, we recognize the Women's Wing. Now, regionally, here in United States, we have Women's Wing with regional and center coordinators. It is purely the blessings of Bhagavan. In Sri Satya Sai Speaks, chapter 17, volume 13, Swami says that the feminine is the foundation on which a peaceful and happy world is to be raised. When women are true, brave, and compassionate, virtuous and pious, the world can have an era of peace and joy. What a profound message from Swami. The sisters are fortunate that we have the privilege to offer the first event in Region 7 in the centennial year of his glorious advent. Not just for the sisters, but also for all, it is rarest boon that Swami has bestowed to be part of this grandeur movement of self-transformation. On that note, the theme for this year's Women's Mini Retreat is, as you can see in the altar, Inward, Forward, to Saiward. The thought process behind this theme is we find Swami within us, establish a constant connection with him. With the connection, we move forward to our spiritual journey to realize that we and him are one. The planning team have put together wonderful segments to reflect upon the theme today. And I strongly urge that all of you stay till the end and embark in his divine nectar of pure love. Bhagavan, as we all imbibe your message, we are in self-transformation. As we practice your teachings, we become the flower at your lotus feet, Swami. You have taught us the importance of patience and 9 types of devotion, Navavida Bhakti. We, the sisters, with utmost gratitude, offer this WMR at your lotus feet. With that, I welcome our MC for today, Sister Indra Iyer, to take and lead us to the proceedings. Thank you.
Sairam, dear sisters, welcome. My most reverential and heartfelt salutations to our dear Mother Sai, praying for her grace to bless this satsang, the 19th WMR for Region 7, on this 100th year of Swami's advent and this auspicious day of Ugadi and Gudi Padwa. Dear Mother Sai, please lead us, guide us, speak and act through us today, and always be our eternal companion, leading us to our ultimate goal. Swami has said, self-confidence is the first step towards self-realization, and a woman cannot transform her family or society unless she is aware of her own innate divinity. Today's event is centered around this theme of going forward, going inward, developing strength and confidence, and using that to be agents of positive change in the society around us, leading us all towards our Mother Sai. As we begin our Sai Pack Day, here are a few announcements, as usual, and house rules that I'd like to go over. Please, no photographs, no audio or video recording. We have assigned people to cover that. Please silence your phones and put them away so that you can immerse yourself in today's sessions. Restrooms are located right behind that door. There are 3 restrooms there, and there are additional ones, if needed, near the lunch areas. There are also cue cards available. Please use them for the Q&A sessions, and you can drop them off at the basket or hand them over to me. This will be used during the Q&A session with our guest speaker. And there will be an opportunity for a group photo with everybody here just before we break for lunch. And lunch will be served around 11:45. That's going to be at the lunch area outside. So we have a fully packed day, as Sister Pavitra mentioned, and we invite all of you to please stay for the entire duration of the day. And one thing I wanted to mention also, as you may have noticed, that there is Swami's chair facing the stage, and the reason why we place that there is so that Swami is part of the audience and enjoying the play that's going to be set up on the stage. Now I'd like to welcome our Sister Sandhya Shrikant, our Regional Vice President, to introduce today's guest speaker. Sairam.
Sairam, everybody. So happy to see you all here. So I'll read the bio of Sister Aparna. Aparna Murali is deeply grateful for the grace to be born in a family devoted to Bhagavan since the early 1960s. A Balvika's alumni, she attended the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur campus, graduating with honors in BSc Zoology. She pursued graduate studies in psychology from Annamalai University, India, and a second master's in genetic counseling from California State University, Northridge. She is a board certified in genetic counseling. Sister Aparna works in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, UCLA, as a reproductive genetics counselor. Beyond clinical practice, she extends her knowledge and passion as faculty and clinical supervisor for UCLA's graduate program in genetic counseling. In 2022, she was awarded Excellence in Fieldwork Supervision by UCLA GC program, as well as the AGCPD, a national recognition. She also received UCLA GC Graduate Program Award for Excellence in Teaching in 2023. Sister Aparna's heart remains deeply rooted in her spiritual community. She has been a member of the Sri Sathya Sai Center of Los Angeles since 2002. She feels blessed to have had the opportunity to serve in various capacities, SSC teacher since 2004, Center Devotion Coordinator, Regional, National, and Zonal YA Rep, National YA Advisor. She currently serves as a National Education Coordinator and SSIO's Education Committee. Sister Aparna was a faculty for the inaugural years of Sri Sathya Sai International Leadership Program. She has also contributed to various initiatives of the SSIO, satyasai.org website, national and international conferences, to name a few. Sorry, I didn't want to cut short anything. She has done amazing work. So I just read through everything because I didn't know where to cut it. So I have known Sister Aparna as a devotee, attending her talks. She's always amazing. She shares so many wonderful stories. I've always loved that, but more than that, one feature which I love is she has amazing memory power. If she sees somebody and she knows their name, she can remember their name forever, I think. And she will remember and ask, and whenever you had a conversation last, any time before you met her, she will remember that and she'll ask you, oh, your mother was sick, how was she doing? Or something like that. I have seen her many years back interact like that with somebody else. Today she was asking me about something last year. I'm like, oh my God, this is an attribute of Swami that I've heard from others. When they go close to the chair, he asks them about different things. That kind of quality she has, which is amazing, which shows she has good listening powers, which I need to really practice. I only talk, I don't listen so much. So yeah, so without any further ado, I would really like to welcome Sister Aparna to our region, and very happy to have her. Please, everybody, please give a big round of applause. Sorry.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसोर्मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. Lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me to death, to immortality. I offer my love and gratitude at the divine lotus feet of my most beloved Bhagwan. I offer my love and gratitude to the sweet Lord who resides in all your hearts. Sai Ram and good morning. I think Pavitra and Sandhya were applauding. They said I only have to speak for an hour, and now they wrapped up by 10:10 instead of 10:20. So I'm going to pray to Swami to, guide all our words, thoughts, and actions this morning. I am so happy to be here. There are a lot of familiar faces. Some of you have dual citizenship in Region 8 and Region 7. Some of you are Region 7 exclusively. But I've always said Region 7 is like my second home in the US. It truly, you don't feel like you're new. There's a deep sense of familiarity being here, and just really happy to see all of you today. As I was reflecting on the topic, inward, forward, Sai-ward, I was asking Swami, there's a lot of movement. When you think about the topic, it's like you're moving. You're moving somewhere. You're moving inside, you're moving forward, and Sai-ward, who knows what direction that is, right? But there's a lot of movement. So then it reminded me of, let me see if I can move the slide. I don't know if I'm going back. So this is movement then. This incident happened in 2008. It was during a pilgrimage that our region took, and it was in July of 2008, and it was the festival of Varalakshmi Vratam. And at that time, Swami blessed all the ladies to do this very special puja in the divine presence. And since we were going as a group, it was suggested that, we could participate in this puja. So I had signed up, and I'm somewhere in the corner. I'm in the first row by Swami, but if you look to the far left, I'm wearing a green sari, just to give you context, because the position is going to matter eventually. It was a beautiful day, and it was the first time that I was participating in this event. To my right was a devotee who was actually Persian, and a few devotees down that row, she was Japanese. We were women from different countries, different religion. We spoke different languages, but we were celebrating this very special day of honoring the feminine aspect of God. And only in a Sai setting, I feel, that this is possible, that God looks at you at an embodiment of divinity. He is not looking at you as male or female or a particular religion or nationality. He truly is looking at you as an embodiment of divinity. The bhajans were going on, and we didn't know when Swami would come, because it was that time where it was beginning to be a little bit unpredictable, the darshan times. And it was, we had taken our seats by 7:30. It was 8, 8:30, 9, 9:30, and it was almost 10 o'clock. And the anticipation was building, and Swami comes out. And he's coming. Hopefully I move in the right direction. I guess not. And he was getting closer and closer. And he stopped. And I'm going to come back to this. Throughout his life, through his mission and through his teachings, Swami has emphasized 3 things for us to consider today. One is, you are divine. No matter how we think of ourselves, God thinks you are divine. You are no different from Him. This reminds me of one of the interviews that my family had with Bhagwan. My mother's side of the family came into the Sai fold in the early 60s. And through marriage, my father also came into the Sai fold. And I think that's a common occurrence with us. Somebody has to, Swami has to find a way to draw us into his orbit, so to speak. And my mother's name is Dakshayani. And she always had this yearning in her heart that Swami should speak with her directly and bless her directly. I think we all nurtured that, especially if we grew up in his physical presence. We wanted some sort of acknowledgement from Swami. And the transition into being a wife and a homemaker, and this is a safe space, the transition from being single to married and being in the in-laws side, it was not a smooth one for her. Because she was talking about Swami, and my father's family believed in Lord Krishna, although we feel like they're all interconnected because both are Purna avatars, so there's no difference. But the transition was not very smooth for her. So she felt like Swami had to somehow acknowledge that the transition was not smooth and do something special so that her in-laws will also come to believe the divinity that has incarnated on earth as Swami and accept her. So during one of the interviews, Swami asked my older brother, pointing to my mother, he asked her, "Who is she?" So my brother responded, "Swami, that's my mother." And then he asked, "Who is she to your father?" So my brother was a little bit amused. This is an interesting line of question. So he said, "Wife Swami." And then he said, "Who is she to your grandfather?" We were growing up with our paternal side of the family. So my brother responded, "Daughter-in-law Swami." And then he asked, "Who is she to your uncle?" So now he was really amused because this is what Swami doesn't know all of this. So he said, "Sister-in-law Swami." So then finally he asked the question, "Who is she to your wife?" So my brother was in 11th grade, and he knew when to keep quiet and not answer, because ladies were far from his mind at that point, and he knew if he said anything, he's going to get into trouble. So he just smiled and he kept quiet. And Swami answered, "Mother-in-law, right?" And then he said, "Yes, Swami. See, she's a mother to you, a wife to your father, a daughter-in-law to your grandfather, a sister-in-law to your uncle, and a mother-in-law to your wife. But look at me. I'm a mother to you. I'm a mother to your mother. I'm a mother to your father. I'm a mother to your grandfather. I'm a mother to your uncle. And I'm a mother to your wife. I am a mother in love. The law will change, but my love will never change. My love is like that of 1,000 mothers." What a profound message, that our roles may change based on the relationship that we have with different individuals, but God's role is constant. And then he called my mother, not by her name. He called her, "Lakshmi, come here." And he materialized a Lakshmi pendant and he gave it to my mother. And that was actually on my father's 50th birthday. So when she came back home, my grandparents were so touched that Swami had honored my father on his 50th birthday. He had given clothes to both my parents, and he called my mother by the name Lakshmi. And I learned recently that, and this is a personal interaction someone had with Swami, that Swami said that the word Lakshmi does mean wealth, but the deeper meaning is peace of mind. That's what Lakshmi can confer on you. That is the greatest wealth that Lakshmi can confer on each one of us, which is peace of mind. So God believes that you are divine, no matter what you think of yourselves. And Swami, throughout his life, has shown that women have an equal opportunity to be on the spiritual path. Because a lot of times in different cultures, you may see that men are invited to do the rituals. Men are invited to be close. When we go to the Hindu temples, they do the pujas. So somehow there is this notion that men can be on spiritual path, not women. But Swami said, no, women have an equal opportunity to be on the spiritual path. And one way he made sure that women had that equal opportunity was he started the first women's college in Anantapur. So through secular education, he was creating opportunities for women to have spiritual education as well. And right before that, Swami started the Balvikas program. And this program was available both for boys and girls. And in that discourse, he said, for women to be the first Balvikas teachers, and this was a discourse he gave in 1967 in Kerala, in December. He said, all the women should gather the children in their neighborhood and once a week tell them short, simple stories. Not only tell them short, simple stories, also give them the milk, a glass of milk, because that nurtures the body and the spiritual stories will nurture their heart. So the Bal Vikas movement started with women leading the mission for Swami. And then came the Anantapur College, and we have a lot of Anantapur sisters here. I see a lot of my seniors also present. And you have heard from them how our curriculum would be. The day starts at 5 with Suprabhadam. It goes all the way till around 10:30. And it's a jam-packed day with different activities, but couple of focus areas is, it's integrating all aspects of education, not just academic education, but also physical education. So we would do yogasanas, we would have games in the evening, we would have bhajan time. Swami never said you have to do only one thing. He never said you have to do bhajans throughout the day. You can sing bhajans for 30 minutes and you can sing bhajans throughout the day in your own heart. He said you always have to integrate all aspects of your life and make sure it has a spiritual basis. And then you see the Anantapur students doing stunts on motorbike. You also see them doing the Nadaswaram. You see them doing the band with Western instruments. You also see them chanting the Vedas. If you were in Anantapur or you saw the Anantapur students, when we come to Puttaparthi, we climb on buses and load the suitcase, and we also bring it down. So Swami emphasized on being self-reliant, to always depend on yourself, right? Now we have Ramya doing the AV equipment, and she has, she started this wonderful channel along with other young adults, during the COVID time, right? And I remember when I came for the WMR long time ago, Sister Prashanti was doing the AV stuff. So it's like, see how we have become self-reliant because we are inherently capable of doing anything that we put our mind to. So number one, we are divine. Number two, we have equal opportunity to be on the spiritual path. Number three, I'm going to connect it to the message that Swami gave us this morning. You have an important role to play in this world. You have an important work to do in this world. A very important work. A very critical work. You are meant to nurture the spiritual lives of all those who are around you. Other people can do it as well, but you have something special that others don't. You have this important task of nurturing the spiritual life. Sister Sandhya was sharing in the car that when she made the first trip to Puttaparthi and when she came back, she started plotting on how she's going to get her husband back to Puttaparthi. She was plotting how he also has to be on the spiritual path. She wanted to bring her children on the spiritual path. You have this very important role to nurture the spiritual lives of all those who are around you. I want to share 5 encounters that I have had with women who have helped me to understand the significance of the role that Swami has given on us. They come from different backgrounds, different ages, but each one of them helped me to shift my thinking process just by an inch. It was a grandmother, an English professor, Anantapur alumni, a SSC student, and a graduate intern. And I'll start with the story of the grandmother. I was in 6th grade, and there was a new friend in school who was a neighbor. And being the only girl in the family, I have 2 older brothers. At least when we were growing up, siblings was slightly different. So I would always look for a sister, because I wanted a sister. You always ask for something you don't have, right? If you have only sisters, you crave for a brother. If you have brother and a sister, you crave for a better brother and a sister. So we always crave for somebody who we don't have in our lives. So I used to crave for a sister. And this new friend, she was a neighbor just 2 houses down the road. She came and we just totally hit it off. And you go to school together. We were in different sections, even though same class. I was in 6C, she was in 6A. But break time, we will hang out. Lunch time, we will hang out. Walk back, we want to hang out together all the time. And my mother was getting she was like, how much time are you going to spend? You should be studying also. Common thing. I'm sure a lot of you have heard it, and a lot of you say it to your children also. So this friend, her mother was living in a different country at that time. So she was staying with her grandparents. Very traditional South Indian family. I grew up in Chennai. There were Tamilians, Brahmin. Very, very traditional. And you look at the grandmother, you won't sit, you will stand up. She had that personality. She was a very pious lady, and you had that respect. You saw her, you had that respect. Very devoted to God. She was a music teacher, very, very devoted to God, and you felt like you revered her. So there was this, respect and also fear with her. So somehow, this is pre-cell phone era. So my friend said, we couldn't finish our conversation because I had to go home, she had to go home. She said, here is the home number, you call me tonight. We will resume our conversation. Nothing important, But she said, we'll resume the conversation. So I said, okay, I'll call you. She said, I should call. She can't call because grandmother is very strict. And I was better at flying under the radar, because when you're one of 3, less attention on you. If you're 1-on-1, good luck. 1 of 2, little bit better. 1 of 3, even better. So I said, okay, I will give you a call. So I knew when dinner time would be over. I called, and we had coordinated. So she was supposed to be by the phone to pick up the phone. But when the person picked up, the voice I heard was the grandmother. So I was like, man. So I didn't even say hello. Because she said hello first. And then she said hello again. And then she said, who is this? So I said, I am Shruti's friend. And then there was a pause. And now blah, blah, blah. My stomach is churning like, oh my God, I'm going to get it. We used to call her Pataka. So I'm going to get it from Pataka. She's going to say, you guys hang out. Because Pataka and my mom, they were allies. They both didn't approve of us spending so much time together. So there was a pause. And then she said, Aparna, never be afraid to say who you are. And I didn't know what to say other than, okay, Pataka. And then she said, I'll call Shruti now. But it stayed with me. When she said, never be afraid of who you are. She also meant never be afraid if you're not making any mistakes. Only when you make a mistake, you will be afraid. Which also meant talking too much, hanging out too much is not advisable. It's layered. But those layers came much, much later. But just on a superficial level, somehow it was very liberating. Don't be afraid of who you are. What is there to be afraid? There's nothing to be afraid of. You can be a certain age, you might be in a certain position in your life, you might have done certain things. They're all part of your journey. Each experience is shaping you in some way or the other. Never be afraid. And sometimes I took it to an extreme with my mother. Even when I made a mistake, I was never afraid. And my mom would say, at least be a little bit afraid that you're making a mistake. But over the years, it has helped to refine me that I should not be afraid. And I think it is important that as women, we teach that to our children. We teach it to ourselves. We especially have to teach to our children, both our daughters and our sons, to never be afraid. With the underlying understanding is, don't do anything that will hurt others, but never be afraid. We have to tell that to our sisters. We have to tell that to our mothers. We have to tell that to our grandmothers. And we have to practice that in our hearts, never to be afraid. The English professor came a little bit later. This was when I was in Anantapur. My sisters know Professor Rajeshwari Patel. She used to teach, now she has retired. She was also the director of the Anantapur campus for a short period of time. So this happened when I was in my second year in Anantapur. I did have a reputation in my family of having too many friends and not giving enough focus to Swami. And my mom's solution was, let me send her to Anantapur, Swami will straighten her up. So much so that I did not apply to Anantapur. My mom applied because I didn't want to leave Chennai. I didn't want to leave my friends in Chennai. So without my knowledge, she submitted an application. So when I saw a postcard come saying, please come to Puttaparthi for the entrance exam, I was shocked. I was like, how did this happen? I never applied. And my mom moms are all the best psychologists. It's reverse psychology, forward psychology, inward psychology, forward psychology, but they're the best psychologists. She said, Aparna, it's just entrance exam. What's the big deal? Who knows? The way you are, you might not even get in. You're so naughty. You just have to go and take the exam. And I thought, yeah, that's right. I'm just taking the exam. It doesn't mean I'm going to get admission. And the way I am, Swami will say, better this girl stays in Chennai. So I took the exam. And then my name shows up for the interview and I'm like, oh my God, now what is going on? So my mom came with me to Parthi and my mom said, Aparna, it's just the interview, not a big deal. What is there? Just go and talk to them. It's like, the way you are. And the way I was, I'm told I've mellowed a bit. I was a little bit on the cocky side. So I went for the interview, and my sisters know for the interview at that time it was the Vice Chancellor, Professor Sampath, Registrar was Mr. Chakravarti, Gemma Madam, Pushpa Madam, and Professor Hemalata. So it's the Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Principal of Anantapur campus, Warden of Anantapur campus, and Assistant Warden. And they saw that I was a Balvika student. They saw my entrance, the entrance exam scores. My father was, medical coordinator. So they thought like, this child has grown up in the Sai fold. They were very happy. And they asked me some questions. I answered. And then the registrar said, so Aparna, you've applied for, bachelor's in science, but, your essay was really good. So how about switching to bachelor's in arts in English? I was a total science geek. And I was like, English? No way. So, of course, up until that time, I was, the filters were there. Somehow the question triggered all filters to go out of the window. So I said, sir, I would rather dissect a frog than read Shakespeare. So he just smiled. Those who know Mr. Chakravarti know that this is not the type of answer you should give. He just smiled and he said, okay. And then I came back to the room and I told my mother what happened, and her reaction, it's like, what to do with this girl? So then she said, okay, let's go home. And then we came back, I told my family, everybody was like, yeah, this one is not going to change. So my mother was kind of sad, like, okay, I tried. We have to start applying, because I didn't even apply for any colleges locally. I was too full into friendship mode, having no purpose. Going to bhajans, I will be the last person to get ready. If Swami is coming to Chennai, last person to get ready. Suprabhadam, like mom has to nudge. Did you say your morning prayers, evening prayers, go wash your face, stand in front of the altar? Everything last. God was last. Aparna's friends were first. So then this was Ishwaramba daytime when we had the interview, came back home. Within 3 days, another yellow color postcard, I was alone at home. Mom and dad had gone to visit grandparents, and I was doing something at home. Postman came, so I went and picked up the mail, and then I see the yellow card with the institute symbol saying, you have been accepted into Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur. Please report to Brindavan for summer course, May 19th. And I started crying. And I was like, this is unbelievable. I thought I messed it up sufficiently that I wouldn't get in. This is really unbelievable. I called my grandparents home and I was crying. So my uncle who picked up the phone thought something happened. A thief came or something happened. So he called my mom, and my mom was worried, and she said, what happened? And then crying, Mom, I can't believe this. Very dramatic. I said, I got admission. And she started laughing on the other end. And then she came home, and then very short time, I didn't even have time to tell my friends that I'm going away. I could tell only 2 people. And then my parents and my brother, they came to drop me off. They were all crying. So I said, serves you right. You all cry. You guys decided that I should go away from home because, being the only girl, all the decibels were belonging to me. The house would be very lively. If Aparna is not there, it's very quiet. So they were all feeling bad, and I said, you guys cry. So I was very brave in front of them. Once I boarded the Brindavan Express, luckily there were a few other Anantapur students. I excused myself, went to the toilet, and I was crying. And then we got to Brindavan and we showed up at the hostel, and all the first years, you know who the first years are, because when they're saris, you can see the ankle. First year students don't know how to wear sari properly. And the hair, combing of the hair, so it will be very distinct first year students. So I don't know many people, it's a very new experience. I knew only one person from the Samadhi, but she was already in the second year. So she had her friend, so I showed up, no friend. I'm sitting there. First year students, we were given the front row because we are new. And afternoon darshan, Brindavan is a beautiful place. That was my first time in Brindavan. It's so serene. It's a gentle breeze and this very sad 17-year-old. The heart is crying. I don't know anybody, no friends. And then Swami walks out. And for the first time, there was one person I knew. I didn't know anybody else. One person I knew, and I latched on. And I said, you better be my friend, because I don't have any friends. It was one person. And then slowly it started shifting. Now, the girl who didn't wake up for Suprabhadam at home, I would get up at 4:30, take a shower, and I would go for Suprabhadam before anybody else. Everything started slowly shifting. In my second year for Dashara celebration, at that time Swami would have students from all campuses give a short talk as part of the Dashara celebration, and I was one of the students selected. So I had to go and share my speech with Rajeshwari Patel. Now we are back to the English professor. So I had few stories to share, and I shared those stories, and she said, Aparna, this is very nice. You have a nice flow, very good stories, very powerful stories. It was on transformation. And then she asked the question, you have talked about all other people, but how have you transformed? And until that point, I had not realized the switch that happened where Aparna being the center of her universe, it became Sai being center of Aparna's universe. It was a very, very, very subtle shift. But that shift happened because all who were present in Anantapur campus, every single one of them, from the warden to the principal, to the ladies who maintained my room senior, my classmates, my teachers, everybody was oriented towards God. So every single moment of the day, God became our central focus. But it's a very, very subtle shift that happened where it changed my thought process. Instead of me being the center of my universe, Sai became the center of my universe. My alumni, my Anantapur alumni. Fast forward a few more years, many years actually. In 2007, Swami performed the Atirudra Mahayagna in Chennai. In 2006, he performed it in Prashantinilayam. I was not able to go at that time. So I was yearning to be a part of the Yagna because it was something that was truly unique. And I had a desire to go, and Swami made it happen. So I was able to attend the Atirudra Mahayagna in Chennai. And Swami, and this is another aspect, when the Anantapur students graduate, you could always go back and serve Swami. And, you would have Sevadals, and you would have noticed, those of you who visited Parthi, that there would be volunteers who wore a yellow scarf. Those were Anantapur alumni, and they would call it security duty. Not that, we are giving security to whom, but they would say security duty. And so, because there were so many Anantapur alumni in Chennai, and the crowds were going to be massive, so they said, Swami had given permission for the old students to do security duty. So I was like, fantastic. I'm there only for 2 weeks because I was living in LA. So I get to also serve Swami at the same time. So I had a chance to serve, and it was just an incredible experience. There was one time I remember the Yagnashala, I was actually doing duty right on the, where people enter the Yagnashala from the outside. So I was standing on the threshold. And it was just, sometimes I would feel like maybe this is how it will feel if I'm, there are 2 guards at the gate of heaven. They stand. Because I'm standing, the Yagnashala is to my left. I'm hearing the divine sounds of the Yagna. And then this side is the world, and I'm right on the threshold, right? And it's just a amazing, very uplifting experience. And I don't know a lot of Sanskrit, but that was the beginning of maybe, tasting the universality, maybe one way of describing it. How, if you don't know Rudram, you can just read the meaning. After each stanza, they give the meaning. Just read the meaning of Rudram. It is so universal and so inclusive. Because there are passages which say, you're praying for the thieves, for the fishermen, for the robbers, for the king, for the horse, for the animals. You're truly praying for everybody. Because God is present in all. And there's even one section, I think they talk about women. This might be an English translation, women who are aggressive. That always gets a chuckle, So it's truly very, very inclusive. And that was the time when I got the taste of Vedas they're not limited to a religion. Swami gave this beautiful definition of Vedas. So you spell Vedas as Veda. And he said, what is Veda? Victory over ego, desire, anger. That is Vedas. Right? When you have victory over ego, desire, and anger, then you go into the next level. So that was the beginning of that taste. But I'm coming to my alumni. We had to distribute prasadam. And this was in the afternoon session. There was laddu prasadam. And we started distributing, and we kind of got a message saying that, the prasadam is, going a little bit low, so be careful, make sure everybody gets one. And we are saving just a few for the old students, so just be mindful. And we had finished, and 2 ladies came at the very end, and I just had a small bowl, just with few, and I know I had to take it back and give it to the sister who had given us this, guidance, just be careful. So the 2 ladies came, and they asked me, can we get the prasadam, please? And then I asked them, did you get? And they said yes, but their neighbors, they want to get the prasadam for them. They could not come. And I got into a self-righteous mode. You want to live by the rules. Oh boy, the rules. So I said, you have one. Maybe you can share the one you have. There are others who have not received it. So we have to make sure that everybody gets at least one. They didn't say anything, but you could see that they were a little bit disappointed that they couldn't get a prasadam. So then they left. And I came back and I very diligently, I told my senior, Akka, you know what happened? We tend to exaggerate. Maybe not you, just me. Akka, these two ladies, they came, they got prasadam and they wanted more. But you said, goody two shoes or whatever. So you said, no, we shouldn't give. So I told them, sorry, I can't give. So I thought this Akka is going to say, good girl. You know what she said? One word. She just said one word. Really? All she said was, really? And I was like, what am I doing here? I could have given them my laddu. I could have easily given them my laddu. They asked, I could have given, right? But I didn't. And all she had to say was, really. And I think some of my Anantapur sisters will know the sister who asked me this. It's Kundavi Akka. And she has that power where she will hardly say a word, but when she says one word, it means a lot. All she had to say was really. And then I went home and I thought about it because I felt bad. And I asked myself, why am I feeling bad? Right? She said it. That means I've done something that I should not have done. So then I thought, yes, I could have given my laddu prasadam. They could have shared, but nothing stopped me from sharing my laddu prasadam. On the spiritual path, there are no rules. There is only love. There is discipline on the spiritual path. But we can't confuse discipline with rules. Discipline must be there. There's nothing wrong with that. But nothing prevented me from sharing my laddu. So being loving is very, very important. And one aspect of love is sacrifice. That helped me to shift, being very rigid on the spiritual path to becoming less rigid, to focus on love, being loving, being disciplined, and not being so rigid. It shifted. So we talked about my grandmother, an English professor, and a senior. Now comes the SSC student. I'm going in chronological order. So this happened in 2023. When the Sai Premanilayam was inaugurated, we had an international conference in Sai Premanilayam. And Dr. Reddy had requested the local region to have the children offer something on that occasion to Swami. So we had put together a very, very small play, and we had the students, prepared for it. And the Region 8 Education Coordinator, he asked me if I could help on the girls' side. I said, sure, I can be with them. And so we were able to practice during the lunchtime, and the offering was, later in the afternoon. So we lined up all the girls, and we were told that select 2 students, 1 boy, 1 girl, to go and offer a rose to Swami. So Kandar Bhai had said, I'll take the boy, I'll make sure they practice, because the steps are a little bit steep, and these are small children, so we wanted to make sure they were comfortable. So I took the group 1 child, cute as a button. You look at her, your heart will just melt. She doesn't even have to say anything. And the worst part is she knows she's cute. She doesn't take advantage of it, but she is so aware that she's cute. So I went and told her, Kanna, we have to practice, so we'll just go and do it once. So we went, and she very, she's 7 years old. So got up, went all the way to Swami's chair, and I said, offer it by Swami's padam, take namaskar, and then you walk back. We did it, we came back, and she said, Auntie, can I try one more time? I said, Areva. Nice. I said, sure, this time you go on your own. I'll just wait here on the side. So very sincerely, she went up. She offered the flower. She came back. And then we went and we assembled where all the other girls were seated. And I was just generally speaking with all the girls, saying like, so offering to Swami, be happy, smile, face all the usual things that we share with our children. So my group 3 student, we have this very friendly relationship, so I don't take whatever she says seriously. So I finished my spiel and she looked at me and she said, Aparna auntie, is this how you stress us? And I was like, oh my God, like what did I say? Like to stress you guys? I'm just, trying to get them prepared for the offering. And this little one is sitting next to her, doesn't skip a beat. I'm still processing how to respond because now like I'm zipped, like it's a lose-lose situation. No matter what I say, I'm processing. This one sitting next to her turns around, looks at her. Of course, this one is little. Group 3 is looking at me. She taps on her leg and she says, she's preparing us. She's not stressing us. What do you think Swami is doing? Every single day, he's preparing us. You get an opportunity to coordinate, do something for this event, he's preparing you. The altar is so beautiful. I know, sister, a lot of sisters, put in so much effort. He's preparing you for something. And I love the fact that it's purple and gold. Those are Laker colors. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you follow basketball locally, but I walked in, I saw, and I was like, Lakers are here, that's great. You're taking SSC teacher training. He's preparing you. Sometimes you can make the connection. Sometimes you don't make the connection till much later. You're cooking, for prasadam. He's preparing you, right? You're taking pictures. He's preparing you. You never know what it's going to lead you to. But every day, God is preparing you. Sometimes, we have difficult conversations. It's very unpleasant. We feel embarrassed. We feel like, we didn't do something correctly. We made a mistake. But guess what? That mistake prepares you not to make a mistake again in the future, right? Nothing bad is happening, but everything is happening to prepare you, to meet a moment. I had a couple on Thursday, a very complex genetics case, very, very complex genetics case. But it so happened that I had exactly the same situation a month ago. And this couple, they were complaining about all their providers that I met on Thursday. And the funny thing is, whatever mistakes their provider had made now, I had made the same mistakes a month ago. And because I had learned from that mistake, I was able to better serve them this time. And I shared that with them. Sometimes complex things, you're not familiar with it. You have to go through some experience at least once to be better prepared for the next time around. Now, there are certain situations which are very, very difficult. I'm speaking in general. When we go through challenging circumstances, it's preparing you for something, right? God, Swami is preparing us every single moment. That was my SSC student. The intern. So this happened last year. So I have students from the graduate program who intern through my clinic for 10 weeks. And it's everything that I have learned in SSC, I bring it in. That's how Swami is preparing me. When we start the rotation, I talk about educare, although I don't call it educare. I tell them that this clinical rotation is meant to identify the strength that is already within them. It's basically educare, it's drawing it out, right? So whatever I've learned in SSC, I bring it into work. So this student, when you just look at her, she was very frail, very, very frail. If I did, she would fall down. I'm just, giving you an idea of how frail she is. And she was very uncomfortable to do this rotation. Because in my clinic, we have to talk about options. If there is a genetic abnormality, we have to talk about options with the patients. And she was Catholic. And for them, you continue with the pregnancy no matter what. So the first time she heard me talk about options, actually after the session, she was crying. She said she couldn't bear listen to me talk about options. So it was a very difficult situation for her to be in, and it was her first rotation. So the first week, and they come only for half a day. She was a first year, first week, half a day. First day, at the end of the day, she cried. Second week, end of the day, she cried. And I'm thinking, how are we going to get through, another 8 weeks? The third week when she came, she had to observe a diagnostic procedure. So some of you may have heard, they put a needle into the womb and they collect the amniotic fluid, and we can test the amniotic fluid for genetic conditions. So as part of the training, they have to watch these procedures because they have to talk about these procedures with the patients. I was sitting in my office, the nurse came running, and she said, "Aparna, your student." I was like, oh my God, what happened now? So I went and she said, they showed me to a patient room. My student was sitting, she was crying, and she had juice and some biscuits. So I just waited. And then I asked her slowly, she was very embarrassed. And the nurse didn't tell me what happened. So then I stepped out, and the doctor came out, and the doctor rolled their eyes. And then the doctor said, you have to check with the student first. And I'm like, what happened? So the doctor was about to do the procedure, and my student fainted. She became so overwhelmed that she fainted. And the patient got nervous. The doctor got nervous. They couldn't do the procedure. They had to get the student out of the room, and they have to reset. And it's hard for the patient to see someone faint. They are going through the procedure, right? So then I was feeling bad for the student, I was feeling bad for the patient, I was feeling bad for the doctor. So then I went back, and then, she said, the student apologized. She said, "I'm really sorry, it was too much for me." And I said, "I'm sorry. I should have checked, if this is something that you were comfortable doing. We are just going through our syllabus. We have to make sure student gets exposure, right? But I'm sorry, I should have asked." But now I ask all my students, please, if you're going to faint, you don't have to go and observe this. It's not required at all. But then we came back to my office, and because now the student she's already beating herself up. First 2 weeks she cried, now she has fainted. And she's in a very, very vulnerable state that she cannot do this. So I said, we had a long conversation, and we don't get to know the background of the students because we see them only for 10 weeks. She just opened up and she said, she comes from a very challenging background. She's the first person in her family to even attend college. She said, Aparna, all my friends, they're working in McDonald's or In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A. I'm the only one in college. Being in college is something like I really wanted, the value of education, right? She wanted to really be in college and study, but I'm not able to keep up. I don't think I can do this. Totally beating herself up. Then we had a conversation about resources. I said, is it okay if I, talk to the program director? We can try to identify resources for you, make sure that you feel supported. She said, yeah, that's okay. I'm open to it. So we said this, and then I had a conversation with the program director. We identified resources. This is week 3, and week 4 she's going to come back. I'm already nervous. She comes back on a Friday, and I'm thinking, Swami, today what is going to happen? So I prayed to Swami that morning. I really, we have to find the strength in our students, right? So I prayed to Swami, and Swami said, take your crayons with you, because all SSC teachers have fun stuff in their house, all crafts. So Swami said, take your crayons with you. I said, okay, Swami, I'm going to see what you're up to now. So I took my crayons. I said, what else, Swami? Just that morning, I heard a discourse. Because I listen to the discourse stream every day in the morning as I'm getting ready for work. And there's one thing I try to, I just grab it. That's my second breakfast. Today I had really good breakfast. Wonderful idli and coffee. Thanks to Sister Sandhya. Swami's words, second breakfast. And he said how, the tree is embedded in the seed. The big tree is embedded in the seed. He was talking about Namasmarana. And he said, you have to when you cross a big ocean, your boat is not as big as the ocean. Your boat is small. So boat is like the Namasmarana. If you want to cross the ocean of life, you don't need a big boat. Just Om Shri Sai Ram. Or any Nama Japam you have is okay. And then he gave another example about a lantern. You have to cross a forest. And you don't need a light all the way to see the edge of the forest, which is 100 miles. If you can see 3 feet ahead, it is sufficient. So he was talking about Namasmarana. So as I was driving to work, I was reflecting on it. So then I got to work, and then she came. She was nervous, I was nervous. And I had the crayons and a piece of paper on my desk, and all SSC tricks. SSC is a fantastic, this is like an advertisement for SSC. Because children in class also, if you put something in front of them, they are curious, like, oh, what is Aparna auntie going to do today? Right? So I had the crayons and a piece of paper. So she saw, and she was like, wondering what is going to happen. We finished the clinic, and usually at the end of the day, we have a debrief, like what happened, what did you learn? So that day I asked her, do you like to color? She started crying. I was like, oh my God. And then I waited, and she said, I used to color, but since I started the program, I don't have time to color. I love to color. Then I went, aha, Swami knows this. Swami knows this girl. See? And then I said, okay, here are the colors. I'm going to ask you to draw something with the crayons. Will you draw for me? And she said, sure. So I said, go ahead and draw a seed. And she looked at me like really puzzled. But she drew a seed. And then I said, next to it, go ahead and draw a tree. And then she drew, and she said, like, leaves and flowers. I said, use your imagination. You draw whatever tree you want to draw. It doesn't matter to me. So she drew a tree. And then I said, go ahead and draw. I told her to draw a boat and a plane. And then she drew a boat. She drew a plane. And then I said, go ahead and draw ocean and sky. And she said, paper is small. I said, some example, man, like, go ahead and draw. She drew. Then I said, draw a feet. She drew a feet. And then I said, draw a human being. She drew a human being. So then I asked her, how did such a big tree come from such a small seed? And then you can see something is churning. And then I said, how did such a small plane, even though it's, what is Emirates, the Boeing Airbus 330 double-decker, such a small plane, big sky, small plane, but it's so small, but it is able to go across the sky? She's like, yeah. Big ocean, Pacific Ocean, small boat, but you're able to cross? Yeah. She's only 5 feet tall. I said, you have such small feet, but you're 5 feet tall, but your feet is able to help you walk? She said, yeah. Then why do you think you cannot be a good genetic counselor? You should have seen the light in her eyes. It just clicked. In that moment, it just clicked like, I don't have to be big to do big things. I just have to believe that I can do big things. It just clicked, right? And then I said, you keep the crayons every day before you start your day, because I'm not going to tell her do Suprabhatam. Before you start your day, color something. So, because that is an anchor for her. So I said, color something every day. You pick your color. You say, today I'm going to be purple, and draw something with it. Take the crayons with you. She came back the next week, week 5. Have you ever seen like videos of a newborn giraffe get on the legs and walk, or a calf? It's like wobbly. Week 5, I saw that. She was on her feet, but wobbly. Week 6, stronger. Week 7, stronger. Week 8, every week she was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Week 10, she finished her rotation. She was doing sessions on her own without me being there. So much so that the patients were sending messages saying, we love your student. It just somehow clicked for her. And then she has graduated. She's a successful genetic counselor in a leading lab now. On the day of the graduation, she even gave a talk. She was one of the speakers. And, I didn't know her full story other than the little that she shared. She said the first time she came to UCLA was she was a 3-year-old riding the bus with her mother. And her mother would clean the dorms in UCLA. And the next time she came to UCLA was as a student in the same dorm that her mother would clean. She finished her undergrad, she finished her master's, and she said, I am proud to be the first person to have gone to college and get my graduate degree, and her mother was in the audience. Such a proud moment for that student. Such a proud moment for all of us. How much, she has overcome. My take-home message from this experience was, very interestingly, when I was reflecting on it, I never felt, I'm a visual thinker, I never felt like I had the light and I was going into an area of darkness and I lit a candle. I never felt like that. It felt like one little light was seeking another little light. It was not that there was darkness anywhere. So every time we see someone, if we can seek the light in them, the connection is so incredible, right? I just want to be mindful of time because I can keep talking. And each of these individuals, they have helped me to shift my thinking just by a millimeter. But guess what? Those millimeters add up. They definitely add up. It's like, when I don't have a personal trainer, but I listened to this lady on the podcast. She gave this fantastic technique. She said, if you have to do 50 reps, don't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, because you feel the burden of 23, you feel the burden of 35. She said, reset every 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't feel like you're doing 50. So anything we are doing, if you do in small increments, there is movement. Inward, forward, sideward. But here is a thought. I believe all of us, including our awesome tabla player, all of us are already on the sideward path. Whether you know it or not, I was telling Sandhya, I think Swami has been stalking her. I think Swami is following her. From the time she saw Swami as a little child, she attended Balvika, she didn't even know it. It's like Swami is following her because he doesn't trust her to follow him. So Swami has said, let me follow her. Wherever she goes, I'm going to go with her. Right? So we are all on the sideward path. However, Swami shared this very humorous incident. He said in one of his summer course discourses, he said Radha wanted to go and have darshan of Krishna. And so it was almost evening, and she was like, that's okay. They had to take a boat across the Yamuna river to go and see Krishna. So she was like, I just want to go and have darshan of Krishna. I'm going to go. So she started walking, and Gopikas know. Whenever Radha is out like this, I guess they know what she's up to. So they said, oh, it's already evening time. You shouldn't go alone in the dark, and you are rowing the boat alone. If you all go together, then it'll be easier. We can keep each other company. So Radha says, okay, we'll all go together. It's already dark. So they get on the boat and they start rowing. And they're all singing bhajans of Krishna, thinking about Krishna. They're fully immersed in Krishna consciousness. And they're excited. They're looking forward to the morning when they're going to have darshan of Krishna, just like in bliss. And they're all taking turns of rowing the boat, so nobody feels tired. And then slowly the morning, it's dawn, and they are looking like, we should have reached, Mathura by now, but we're not there, and they hear people, their neighbors in Gokulam. And then they're like, what is this? We are seeing people from Gokulam, we are not seeing people from Mathura. And they turn around and they see that they are still in Gokulam. They have rode the entire night thinking about Krishna, fully in bliss, doing all the sadhanas that they are supposed to do, but they forgot to untie the boat. So Swami said, this is what we are doing. We are on the Godward path, but we have to untie the boat. We have to untie the boat. And that rope, you get to define what it is. I am not going to define it for you. Because for everybody, the rope can be different. It doesn't have to be the same. For some people, it can be sugar, wanting to give up sugar, or coffee, or food item. For some people, it can be like, I want to give up short temper. You get to define what that rope is, but we have to learn. We are doing all the spiritual practices. We are on the Godward path, but we have to learn to untie that boat that's holding us back. Let's see if I remember. Oh, good. Back to the story when God asked a question. So Swami is coming closer. And you can't hear what he's saying through a picture. Vimla aunty is also here. She's in the second row. I don't know if Vimla aunty heard the question. But the only way you can recognize that Swami is asking a question is Swami's face is turned. I'm going to go back to the previous picture. You see he's looking ahead, to the side. Chakravarti sir is looking ahead. And now Chakravarti sir is bending down because Swami asked a question. And it is so interesting. I didn't hear what Chakravarti sir said, but I definitely heard the question that Swami asked. And it was a profound question. And then he walked away. And the question he asked was, and this is the question he's asking you, because we are thinking about where we are going to go. And the question Swami asked was, Nenu ekkada vellali. Swami is asking you, where should I go? You have to reflect on this question that Swami has come and he's asking you, where should I go? And I would love to hear your answers. So find me during the day and tell me what your heart tells you. Where should God go? I wouldn't take this question lightly. If you don't have an answer today, please, if you remember anything from the morning session, please reflect on this question from Swami. We are trying to figure out where we are going, inward, forward, sideward, and Swami is asking you, where should I go? Thank you so much for this opportunity to reflect on this theme, and I want to thank Sister Pavitra. I love her innocence and her enthusiasm, and for encouraging me, because I was not ready for the workshop, but for encouraging me to say yes, and for your very warm welcome, and I'm looking forward to more satsang for the rest of the day. Thank you all so much, sir.
Thank you, dear sister. That was a wonderful and empowering session. And I don't know about others, but it reminded me to remember to be mindful of your experiences and to take the time to dwell and reflect. I think a few things from your session that stood out to me is the 3 points that you made, that all women should remember and keep in mind that you are divine. Women have an equal opportunity to be on the spiritual path, and that you have a very important role to play in how and the scope of influence that you have to impact and change the lives of people around you. Thank you for that wonderful session.